Okay guys! So another accounting video again, another day! Another sakit ng ulo na naman po tayo today. So ngayon, financial accounting and reporting naman tayo. And we will talk about here regarding cash and cash equivalents. So ano nga ba si cash and cash equivalents? Sabi dyan, cash and cash equivalents includes money that is readily available for unrestricted use. So, take note mo na lang. Cash muna specifically, okay? So, cash and cash equivalents is actually a two item. Cash, tapos cash equivalents. But they are being presented as a one-line item sa statement of financial position natin. Pero iisang one-line item yan, pero dalawang asset ang tinutukoy natin dito. So, let's talk about cash first. So, cash daw cash daw, it includes money. Okay, that are readily available. Yung kaya mo daw gamitin agad. And dapat daw unrestricted use. Pag sinabing unrestricted use, hindi mo daw yung yung cash mo daw na yan, hindi mo daw yan itinabi para sa ibang bagay. Okay, dapat unrestricted use. Kasi daw kapag daw yung cash mo daw is restricted in nature, then those must be part of other current and non-current assets. This is our general rule. Meron tayong exception, i-discuss natin maya-maya. But first, ano daw ba yung mga composition ng cash? Sabi daw, cash includes cash on hand and cash in bank. Yan yung cash na hawak mo mismo. Hawak sa business mismo. Cash in bank, yan yung cash na nakadeposit ngayon sa bangko. I-take note mo na lang, meron kang maririnig sa mga problems. Meron kang maririnig sa mga kakilala mo. Meron daw tayong tinatawag na postage stamps. Panggulo lang po yan. Kasi si postage stamps are not cash. Ano ba yung postage stamps? Yung postage stamps po na yan, kung alam mo, yung envelope natin, sa mga envelope natin, minsan meron tayo nung pinanglalak, tama, doon sa envelope natin. Hindi po laway. Kapag ikaw, laway ang ginagamit mo doon, go lang. Pag ikaw, yung kanin ang ginagamit mo doon, go lang. Or glue yung ginagamit mo doon, go lang. Pero minsan kasi kapag medyo formal yung pinupuntahan daw natin, or pinagdadalhan natin ng letter, sabi daw, ang inilalagay daw doon is stamp. Or doon sa likod ng envelope, naglalagay doon ng postage stamp. Ito yung tinutukoy dito. Parang yan yung sticker na maliit lang. Postage stamp. So, it is not included as cash. Kasi hindi naman talaga siya cash. But rather, they are treated as supplies. So, i-take note mo na lang ulit. Kapag meron kang nakita, tinatanong magkano cash and cash equivalents, tapos meron doong composition postage stamps, ignore mo lang po yan. Kasi hindi siya part ng cash natin. Okay? So, cash. Sabi daw, cash, ang mga examples ng cash natin is coins. O yung barya mo, yung mga dineposit mo sa bangko, yung mga cheque. Yan, cheque na yan po, kahit papel pa lang yan, it is considered as cash na raw. And yung mga bank draft, pag narinig mo yung bank draft, cash din yan. Money order, narinig mo si money order, cash din yan. And yung mga cash fund daw natin. Yung mga cash fund that is for current operation. Yan yung exception na tinutukoy ko dito. Kasi ano ba yung cash fund na yan? Yan yung cash na itinabi mo para sa specific na purpose. So, ibig sabihin daw, restricted daw siya. Pero sabi daw, it is still considered as cash even though restricted kasi daw yung cash fund mo is gagamitin mo daw currently. For current operation daw siya. And it usually includes petty cash fund, payroll fund, travel fund, tax fund, dividend fund, and revolving fund. Ano ba yung petty cash fund? Yan yung cash na itinabi mo sa iisang fund para i-maintain or i-sustain lahat daw ng mga maliliit na expenses mo. Kaya nga sabi, petty lang daw. Okay, payroll fund, ano yan? Fund na ginagamit mo pampasahod. Travel fund na ginagamit mo para sa mga travel expense. Tax fund na ginagamit mo pambayad ng tax. Dividend fund na ginagamit mo pang declare ng dividends. Revolving fund na ginagamit mo para sa daily operations natin. Okay, so yung mga fund daw na iyan, sabi daw kasi current in nature yan. Short term in nature yan. Gagamitin mo din daw yan within 1 year. So even though restricted, still daw classified pa rin siya as part of cash daw natin. Okay, it is considered as part of cash, even though restricted dahil daw nga current operation. Sir, paano pag yung cash fund ko is non-current operation? Ito ngayon tayo. It usually excludes, number 1, sinking fund, plant expansion fund, and yung mga contingency fund. Meron tayong mnemonics dyan is PLAC. S for sinking fund, PLA for plant expansion fund, K for contingency fund. So ano ba yung ibig sabihin? Ano ba yung difference? Si sinking fund po, ito yung fund na ginamit mo pambayad ng mga usually long-term in nature yan. Kaya nga sinking na yan. Kaya palubog na. Fund na ginagamit mo pambayad ng mga utang na usually long-term in nature. Si plant expansion fund daw, yan yung fund na ginagamit mo kapag nagpapatayo ka ng building na is usually long-term nga. Contingency fund, yan yung fund na hindi mo alam kung saan mo pagagamitin for contingency purposes. Pag contingency daw kasi, pag hindi mo daw alam kung saan mo gagamitin yung asset, sabi daw it is still considered as a non-current. So kung non-current, dapat current para maging classified as cash. Kung non-current yan, hindi daw yan classified as cash. Kaya dito sabi, it excludes this tatlong funds natin. Okay? Ito yung mga inclusions, ito yung mga kasama sa fund, ito yung mga hindi kasama as part ng cash. At ulitin ko, ito yung mga kasama as part ng cash, ito yung mga hindi kasama as part ng cash. Exception lang si sinking fund. Kay sinking fund lang exception ha. Exception daw, if daw yung sinking fund mo, tama yan yung fund na ginagamit mo pambayad ng mga long-term liabilities. Sabi daw, such sinking fund must be part of cash if daw yung utang daw natin is currently maturing. Sir, nalito na naman ako. O ganito, for example, si A is umutang kay B. So si B ngayon, nagbigay ng 100,000. Sabi daw si A, babayaran daw niya yan for 3 years. Let's say for example, inutang niya yan ng 2025. So babayaran niya yan ng 2027. By year 2025, yung utang natin na to is considered as a non-current liability. By 2026, yung classification ng 100,000 natin will be considered as a current liability. Kasi babayaran mo na siya within 1 year na. So ngayon, kung non-current liability daw siya by 2025, meron ka daw tinabing fund para daw dyan. Yung fund daw natin, ang classification daw by 2025 is a not part of cash. Pero by 2026, current na daw kasi. For current operation na daw, it is part of cash na daw. Yan yung sinasabi ng exception dito. General rule. Narinig mo si sinking fund? Hindi part ng cash yung fund natin na yun. Exception to that general rule. Kapag nakita mo daw na yung long-term fund o yung long-term liability mo daw is currently maturing or babayaran mo na daw siya within 1 year or classified na daw siya as short-term na raw, then such sinking fund will be considered as part of our cash. Yung exception po natin, nag-a-apply lang sa sinking fund. Kapag kasi, for example, si plant expansion fund. Sir, yung plant expansion fund, meron akong tinabing pera para sa plant expansion fund. Tinabi ko yan ng 2025. Hindi ko siya gagamitin ng 2026. So, pero by 2027, sir, sabi daw, complete na daw yung asset ko. So sabi, by 2026, sasabihin mo, currently, kasi mababayaran mo na matatapos na yung plant expansion fund ng 1 year. But even though ganun yung nangyari, si 2025 daw, it is not part of cash. 2026 is still not part of cash. 2027 is still not part of cash. Yung exception lang po ulit nag-a-apply lang sa sinking fund. Hindi yan nag-a-apply sa plant expansion fund and sa contingency fund. In-emphasize ko lang. Sana wag mong kalimutan. Meron naman po tayong illustration dyan mamaya. Okay? Yun po yung mga examples ng cash natin na coins, deposits, checks, bank draft, money order, cash fund, and for current operations. So isa-isahin na lang natin. Si deposits po, lahat ng deposit mo sa bangko, part yan ng cash natin. It includes savings, current deposit, and checking deposit. Take note mo na lang, meron tayong time deposit. Sir, time deposit. Deposit pa rin yan. Time deposit is not part of cash. That is an investment. That's the general rule. Okay, pero hindi siya part ng cash. Yung part lang ng cash po na deposit, savings deposit, current deposit, or checking deposit. Take note mo na lang. Okay, next sa check. Yung mga check-in natin, may mga examples tayo dyan. Sabi daw yung mga examples ng check-in natin, meron daw tayong traveler's check, personal check, manager's check, certified check. All of those checks are included as part of cash. Okay, lahat yung mga check-in na yan. Pero yung mga check-in daw na yan, hindi daw sila kasama. Kapag daw yung check is a post-dated check, that are checks that you receive, and a stale check receive. Sir, ano yung post-dated? Hindi ako familiar din sa term na yan. Yung post-dated po na yan, let's say for example, meron ka ditong cheque. Yung cheque, nandiyan yung amount, sabihin na natin 1 million pesos. Dito, pinirmahan mo yung cheque. Dito sa side na ito, nakasulat po yung date. For example, yung date is by January 2027. Ano ngayon? January 2026. So, i-analyze mo. For example, si A naka-receive ng cheque. Si A naka-receive siya ng cheque, ang amount ng cheque 1 million pesos. Kailan niya na-receive? Ngayon po, January 2026. Pero yung date daw ng cheque na na-receive niya is by January 2027. What does it mean? Ibig sabihin daw yung cheque, kaya lang daw i-encash ni A by January 2027. Next year pa raw. So, ibig sabihin, yung cheque na yan, yes, ang general rule natin, pag na-receive mo yung cheque, part na yan ng cash. Pero since hindi mo pa naman siya pwedeng i-convert into cash, kasi pwede mo pa siya i-convert into cash by next year, then this check is considered as post-dated na na-receive mo. Ngayon yung post-dated daw na na-receive mo, hindi daw dapat yan part ng cash. Bakit ulit hindi part ng cash? Kasi kailan mo ulit pwede pa siya ma-withdraw? Pwedeng ma-in-cash? Next year pa po. Okay tayo? Sana malinaw. Yan yung ibig sabihin ng post-dated check. From the word itself, post-dated. After date pa. Okay? Yung stale check naman, sir, ano ibig sabihin ng stale check? Let's say, for example, meron ka lang ulit cheque. Na-receive mo yan January 2026. Pwede mo pa siyang i-encash January 2027. Pero by December 2027 daw, hindi mo pa daw siya na in-cash. Hindi mo pa daw siya na ipapalit sa pera as an actual cash. So, ano daw mangyayari? Sabi daw yung cheque daw na na-receive mo ay naku, napanis. Kaya nga sabi, stale. Stale checks, napanis. Walang sinabi si standard kung ano ang date para magpapanis ang isang cheque, but in practice, sabi daw, kapag daw yung cheque daw hindi mo pa daw na-i-withdraw for a period of 6 months, then such check is considered as stale check. Such check is considered as napanis. Ngayon, yung napanis daw na cheque, since hindi mo na daw pwedeng i-convert into cash, sabi daw, it is not included as part of cash. Okay. Sir, ibig sabihin po ba pag post-dated tapos stale check, hindi na agad kasama sa cash? Hindi po ganun yun. Depende ulit kapag ikaw yung naka-receive. Pero kapag, dito tayo, meron kang post-dated check na ikaw naman ang nag-withdraw. Meron kang undelivered check na ikaw ang nag-withdraw. Meron ka ding napanis na cheque na ikaw ang nag-withdraw. Sabi daw, it is included as part of cash. Kasi babalik ta rin mo ngayon ang nangyari. For example, si A ngayon ang nangyari, siya ngayon ang nag-issue ng cheque. Siya ngayon ang nagpirma ng cheque. Yung pinirmahan niyang cheque na i-deliver na. Nagbayad na i-deliver na daw siya. Pero daw, hindi pa naman daw pwedeng i-encash nung naka-receive ng check. Kasi post-dated daw siya. Then such check or such cash na inalis mo dati, dapat daw part ng cash yun ni Mr. A. Okay tayo. Sir, ano naman yung undelivered check? Wala yan sa taas. Si undelivered check naman po, isang cheque yan na pinirmahan mo na, pero hindi mo pa na ibibigay sa may-ari. So kung hindi mo pa na ibibigay sa may-ari, hindi pa pwedeng i-withdraw ng may-ari. Ibig sabihin, dapat daw, part daw siya ng cash mo. Ano yung stale check naman, sir? Stale check ulit na panis na cheque, pero ikaw yung nagbayad. Ikaw yung nagdraw. So, ikaw ang nagbayad. So, hindi na i-withdraw nung isang tao nung napagbigyan mo ng cheque. Ang nangyari, yung dapat na makukuha niyang cash is dapat part yun ng cash mo. Kasi inalis mo daw yun as your cash nung moment na nag-withdraw ka ng check, nung moment na nagpirma ka ng cheque. Pero hindi naman daw na i-in cash. So, ibig sabihin, yung inalis mo na cheque, inalis mo na cash, ibalik mo daw as part of your cash. Yun yung sinasabi ulit sa stale checks. Okay. Ulitin ko post-dated cheque na hindi mo pa pwedeng i-withdraw after hindi mo pa pwedeng i-withdraw kasi hindi yun yung araw na na-receive mo doon sa date ng check na pwede mo ba daw siya i-withdraw. Stale check, napanis na check. Undelivered check, na-receive na yung check or napirma na yung check pero hindi pa na-receive ng may-ari. Okay? Okay. Ngayon dito, ang lagi mo lang iisipin, anong point of view ka? Ikaw ba yung naka-receive ng mga check? Pag ikaw yung naka-receive ng check, din dapat hindi yun part ng cash mo. Pero pag ikaw yung nag-withdraw ng check, ikaw yung nagbigay ng cheque, then dapat daw, part daw yun ng cash mo. So yan yung mga special na kailangan mong tandaan with regards to checks. Tandaan mo deposits and checks. Deposits, savings, current, and checking lang. Time deposits are not included. Checks, traveler's personal manager certified, lahat yun kasama. Unless such check is post-dated or stale check na ikaw ang naka-receive, then hindi siya kasama. Pero kahit post-dated and stale check, pero ikaw yung nag-withdraw, or tapos undelivered check na ikaw yung nag-withdraw, then kasama daw siya dapat as part of your cash. Okay? Next dito, letter D, bank draft. Ano ba yung bank draft na yan? Si bank draft po kasi, parang ang nangyayari dyan, parang check lang din yan. Okay, check lang din yan. So, dapat part yan ng cash natin. Ngayon, ang kailangan mong tandaan, meron tayong tinatawag na bank overdraft. Ano naman yung bank overdraft? Sabi daw, ito daw is a negative balance in cash in bank. So, ang nangyari dyan, pumirma ka ng cheque. Sabi na natin, pumirma ka ng draft. Okay, yung pinirmahan mong draft nasa 1 million. Magkano daw laman ng bangko mo? 500,000 lang. Inalaw naman daw ng bangko kasi sabi maganda naman credit rating mo, mayaman ka naman, alam ko babayaran mo to. So ang sabi daw, binigay yung 1 million pesos doon sa nag-i-encash ng check even though yung deposit mo lang is 500,000. So ano nangyari? Ano nangyari doon? 1 million yung winidraw mo, 500,000 yung laman ng cash mo, yung deposit mo, magkano ngayon yung laman ng bangko mo, 500,000 na negative balance. Yung negative balance na 500,000 is considered as bank overdraft. And what's the rule with regards to bank overdraft? Sabi daw, it is payable on demand. Hence, it must be part of current liability, dapat daw part yan ng utang natin, and hindi daw siya dapat deduction sa cash in bank unless there is another account in the same bank. Naku, hindi mo na naman naintindihan, nalito ka na naman. O for example, itong bank overdraft mo na ito is nakadeposit yan sa BPI. O for example, meron kang additional bangko, yung BDO natin. Yung BDO mo, meron ka daw 1 million pesos. Kung meron kang BPI na 500,000 negative, BDO 1 million pesos, magkano ngayon ang total cash in bank mo? Sasabihin mo, 500,000 po. 1 million less 500,000, yung total cash in bank ko is nasa 500,000. Mali po yan. Kasi ang sabi daw, si bank overdraft daw, hindi daw dapat yan imina-minus sa mga iba mong pangbangko. This is ignored with regards to cash. It is considered as a liability. So, ang tinanong, magkano cash in bank mo, dapat ang sagot mo is still 1 million pesos. That is the general rule. Exception daw, unless there is another account in the same bank. Let's say for example, meron kang bangko sa BPI ulit, 500,000 na negative balance. Meron ka ulit isang bangko kay BPI na ang amount naman is 1 million pesos. Magkano daw ang total cash in bank natin? Dapat daw is nasa 500,000. Pwede ngayon yan. Kasi daw, yung negative balance mo sa BPI, mag-o-offset daw yun doon sa 1 million pesos na positive balance mo as long as nasa iisang bangko. Yung kanina kasi magkaibang bank. Kay BPI to BDO, bawal daw ang offset. Pero kapag ka BPI to BPI, pwede daw mag-offset. Yun yung sinasabi ulit sa bank overdraft. Okay tayo? So that is what we're talking about cash. So let's move on. Meron pa tayong tinatawag ngayon na compensating balance. Si compensating balance, ito usually pumapasok ito kapag meron tayong cash in bank. So ano bang meron sa compensating balance? Sabi daw, compensating balance is a minimum amount that must be maintained in bank account. So kapag nag-deposit ka kasi sa bangko or gumawa ka ng bank account, meron yan tinatawag na maintaining balance. Na kapag daw bumaba sa maintaining balance yung deposit mo or yung laman ng bangko mo, magkakaroon ka daw ng penalty. Yun yung sinasabi sa compensating balance. Okay? Ngayon yung compensating balance, dalawa yan. Pwede daw na yung compensating balance mo is legally restricted as to withdrawal. Ibig sabihin, hindi mo daw siya pwedeng i-withdraw kahit anong mangyari. Sinabi daw yun, illegality. So, ibig sabihin, restricted. Ano ulit yung rules natin para maging part ng cash? Dapat ulit, unrestricted. So, kapag yung isang compensating balance, yung the minimum deposit mo is legally restricted as to withdrawal, then it must not part of cash. It must not be part of your cash. Pero kapag naman daw not legally restricted, then it is part of your cash. So yan yung tatandaan mo kapag usapang compensating balance. Okay tayo. On next na item natin sa cash and cash equivalent is yung tinatawag natin na cash equivalents. Uulitin ko po. Iba si cash sa cash equivalents. Si cash equivalent kasi is a short-term, highly liquid investment. So, hindi yan cash. Investment yan. Investment yan na short-term in nature and highly liquid in nature that is readily available or to be convertible into cash. Yun. Kaya part siya ng cash and cash equivalent. Kaya pinagsasama daw siya. Kasi si cash natin, yan yung cash na pwede mong gamitin kahit kailan mo gusto. Kasi nga unrestricted dapat yung nature niyan. Si cash equivalent naman, investment, na pwede mo din daw kasi agad i-convert into cash. So, pinagsama siya. Pero ulitin ko, magkaiba si cash and cash equivalent. Kasi yung cash natin, yan yung pera mismo. Yan yung deposit mo. Si cash equivalent po, investment na yan. Okay, take note mo na lang na yung cash equivalent or to be classified or to be part as cash equivalents, dapat daw ikaw or yung investment mo is nag-invest ka sa isang debt instrument. Debt instrument, yan yung, for example, si A, nag-invest kay B. Anong binigay ni B? Sabi daw, liability. Mayroong asset si A, mayroong liability si B, then goods. Itong liability daw na ito, yan yung debt instrument. So let's say for example, si A, nag-invest ulit kay C. Nag-invest kay C, pero yung binigay daw ni C is equity securities. So hindi ka daw binigyan, hindi ka daw inisyuhan ng utang. Hindi siya nag-promise na magbabayad siya. Ang sabi daw, ang promise niya, bibigyan kita ng ownership sa company ko. Then ang tawag dito is an equity securities. Equity instrument. And ang sinasabi, only debt instruments can be classified as part of cash equivalents. Debt instruments that are acquired 3 months or less before their maturity date, those are the only one that can be classified as cash equivalents. Sir, nalito ako, hindi ko naintindihan, hindi ko na-gets. O sige, ganito. For example, si A, nag-invest kay B. Sabihin na natin si B, nag-issue kasi ng 1 million pesos bonds. Kailan daw binili ni A? Sabihin, or nag-issue siya ng 1 million peso bonds, tapos ang maturity date, parang sinabing maturity, yan yung time na pwede nang i-withdraw yung investment. Sabi daw yung maturity daw natin is by December 31, 2026. Okay, in-issue daw ng January 1, 2026. This is the issue date, this is the maturity date. Kailan mo daw binili? Sabi daw binili mo daw siya ng November 1, 2026. So ano sabi dito sa sabi dito sa cash equivalents? Dapat daw yung debt instrument daw, binili mo daw ng 3 months or less bago ang maturity. Kailan mo ba binili? November 1. Kailan ang maturity date? December 31. Ilang months yun? November, December, 2 months. Less than 3 months. Then such item will be classified as cash equivalents. Sir, paano kapag binili ko siya ng January 1? Binili ko ng January 1, ang maturity December 31, investment siya, sir. Classified ba siya as cash equivalent? No. Classified siya as investment, but not as a cash equivalent. Okay, take note ko. Gusto kong i-emphasize. Equity instruments can never be a cash equivalent or can never be part of cash equivalent. For a main reason na si equity instrument kasi have no maturity date. Napaka-importante nga ng maturity date natin na dapat 3 months or less before or after mo siyang binili. Ulitin ko acquired dapat. The purchase date, not the issue date or not the issue date. Okay? That's the rule Only debt instruments can be classified as a cash equivalents. Equity instruments can never be a cash equivalent except nag-invest ka sa equity instrument pero yung pinag-investan mo daw is a redeemable preference shares. Under accounting po kasi si preference shares is an equity account. Pero kapag narinig mo yung term na redeemable, ibig sabihin daw pwede mo daw kasing i-claim yung investment mo sa shares kahit kailan mo gusto. So parang ang nagsasabi, consider daw siya as a debt instrument. Then kapag nag-invest ka sa redeemable preference shares, it can be classified as cash equivalents. Depende ulit kung kailan mo binili and kailan ang maturity date. Okay? Tatandaan mo na lang po yan. And some of the examples of cash equivalents are treasury bills, treasury notes or bonds, money market instruments or commercial papers, and 3-month time deposit. Ayun. Kasi nga si time deposit is an investment. Pero it can be classified as cash and cash equivalent kapag binili mo siya ng 3 months before maturity date. Pero kapag hindi sinabi yung 3 months, si time deposit is considered as an investment. Etong treasury bills, treasury notes, bonds, and money market instruments, provided they can be classified as cash equivalents, provided ulit that they are purchased 3 months or less before maturity date. Kasi yung mga examples ulit nitong mga 4 na to is an investment. Pero are short-term and highly liquid daw. Kapag daw kaya mo daw siyang, or magmamature daw siya ng 3 months or less before or after mo siyang binili. Okay ka? Magmamature siya ng 3 months or less upon purchase date. Okay? So sige, balikan natin lang ulit po ito. Balikan lang natin yung kasama dito sa funds natin, si petty cash fund. Meron kasi tayong accounting for petty cash fund. Dito tayo ngayon. Okay, petty cash fund. Sa petty cash fund, sabi daw, 4 lang naman ang kailangan mo dyan tandaan Yung date of establishment daw. Ano yung date of establishment? Yan yung time na napag-isipan mo na kailangan mo ngayon ng petty cash fund. So meron kang entry dyan kasi at the date of establishment. Sabi daw magde-debit tayo ng petty cash fund, credit tayo ng cash in bank. Okay, kasi ang nangyari lang dyan, from your cash in bank, nilipat mo lang siya as a cash on hand, which is specifically a petty cash fund. Okay, ulit, petty cash fund, yan yung funds, yan yung pera na ginagamit mo lang for minimal expenses. Maliliit na expenses, petty expenses. Okay, next na date daw natin, date of disbursement. Since yung purpose ng petty cash fund mo is pambayad sa mga maliliit na expenses natin, for example, pampagas mo, that's a petty expense, imbes daw na magbayad ka ng check, sabi daw, ibayad mo na lang ng cash, kasi 600 pesos lang naman daw yung gas mo. So, ganyan ang nangyari. Sabi daw, at the date of disbursement, the date na magkaroon ka ng expense, the date na magbayad ka ng petty cash fund, sabi daw, wala daw tayo dapat gawing entry. Okay, for petty cash fund lang po ito petty cash fund lang. Sir, bakit dapat accrual basis tayo Ito yung exception natin, pag petty cash fund. Wag mo muna daw i-apply yung accrual basis pag usapang expenses. Okay, mag-i-entry ka daw ng expense natin at the time na nag-replenish daw tayo ng petty cash fund. Ano ba yung replenishment, sir? Binalik mo lang ulit sa dating ayos yung petty cash fund. Kasi yung petty cash fund natin, for example, meron tayong vault. Okay, meron kang vault. Yung vault mo, ang laman yan, 10,000 petty cash fund. Yung mga funds na yan, ginamit mo sa mga expenses mo. Sabihin na natin yung total expense mo is 5,000. So magkano na lang yung magkano na lang petty cash fund mo? Dapat 5,000. Yung replenishment na sinasabi dito, merong cash in bank dito, pupunuin lang niya ulit yung vault na laman mo. Ibabalik lang niya ulit sa 10,000 pesos. 5,000 na dapat yan. Pero binalik daw ng cash in bank mo to 10,000 pesos. Yun yung sinasabi sa replenishment. Ni-replenish lang niya ulit. Okay? Upon replenishment daw, ang entry daw natin dyan is debit various expense and credit cash in bank. Ayun. Yun yung time na mag-recognize ka ng expense kapag nag-replenish ka. Hindi kapag nagbayad ka. Dapat kapag nag-replenish ka. Ano ulit credit natin? Cash in bank. Okay? Or, paano sir pag hindi nag-replenish? Meron bang ganong instances? Yes, meron ganong instances. Pero kailangan mo pa rin magkaroon ngayon ng adjustment. Kasi at the end of the year, December 31, kailangan mong i-reflect kung magkano talaga total petty cash fund mo. Kung magkano talaga yung total na cash mo. And dapat mag-recognize ka ng expense. So kapag hindi daw na-replenish or unreplenished daw yung petty cash fund, ang entry daw natin is debit various expense and credit petty cash fund. Okay, kanina cash in bank credit mo. Kasi saan ba nanggaling yung pinambayad mo daw sa expense? Yun lang din, parang nanggaling lang daw sa cash in bank kasi binalik niya sa ayos ang petty cash fund. Pero sir, paano pag hindi nga nagbigay si cash in bank? Then ang nangyari, credit ka ng petty cash fund kasi magkano ba dapat petty cash fund mo? Dapat 5,000 na lang. Okay tayo doon. Okay, so ngayon, merong instances na yung petty cash fund mo, lahat ng expenses mo, ang rule kasi natin, itong vault natin na yan, nagbabayad ka ng expense. Okay? So nababawasan ng cash. Lahat daw ng resibo ng expenses mo, dapat nasa loob din ng vault natin na yan. Okay, for example, dumating yung time, December 31, hindi ka nag-replenish. Ngayon, ang nangyari, binilang mo daw magkano yung nasa cash natin. Okay, yung nabilang mo daw na cash na lang dyan, 4,000 pesos. Yung total expense mo daw, 5,000 pesos. So, magkano daw lahat yun? Nasa 9,000 lang daw yung petty cash fund mo. Magkano ba yung kinarga mo sa petty cash fund? 10,000. So, nagkaroon ka ngayon ng kulang na 1,000 pesos. Okay, ang tawag daw natin sa kulang na yun is shortage. Kapag naman daw sobra yung nasa petty cash o nasa vault natin, sabi daw, tawag naman doon is overage. Meron tayo ngayong accounting for shortage or overage of petty cash fund. Okay, shortage, nalugi. Kulang. Overage, sumobra. So kapag daw shortage daw tayo, okay, shortage dito. Sir, nakita mo, bakit ganito? Kulang ito. Dapat 10,000 to. Bakit 9,000 lang nandito? Anong gagawin mo? Pagbibintagan mo ba yung cash custodian natin? No. Dapat hindi. Hindi mo pagbibintangan yan. Anong gagawin mo? Dapat mag-i-investiga ka. Kailangan ng investigation. So, upon investigation, ang sabi daw, magde-debit ka daw muna ng debit, cash, shortage, or overage, and credit petty cash fund. Si cash, shortage, or overage, that is a suspense account na kailangan mo lang ulit yung i-close by the end of the year. So, bakit credit petty cash fund, sir? Para lang mag-reflect na kulang nga yung petty cash fund mo. Binawasan mo yung petty cash fund mo. Okay? O upon investigation, sir, nakita ko na. Alam ko na kung saan nakuha o saan nanggaling yung kulang natin. So, dalawa lang ang pag-iimbestiga. Dalawa lang ang magiging possible result natin dyan. It's either kinuha ng custodian. Kapag kinuha ng custodian, debit ka ng receivable from. Credit ka ng cash, shortage, or overage kasi i-close mo lang ulit itong suspense account na to. Kaya nag-credit ka ng cash, shortage, or overage. Sir, paano pag hindi ko siya marireceive kay custodian kasi walang kasalanan ng custodian? Ang debit natin is loss daw. So, dalawa lang ulit yung magiging scenario mo. It's either magre-recognize ka ng loss or magre-recognize ka ng receivable. After investigation, kapag meron tayong shortage. Kapag naman overage, syempre undergoing liquidation, ang debit mo dyan, petty cash fund. So, dagdagan mo yung petty cash fund mo. Kasi nga, sobra talaga yung petty cash fund natin. Anong credit mo ulit? Suspense account lang ulit. So, binaliktad mo lang yung entry natin sa shortage kapag naman kay overage. So, nag-investiga ka. Dalawa lang ulit ang result ng investigation mo. It's either meron kang babayaran, meron kang utang, kasi for example, si cash custodian, hindi inaasahan o nakalimutan niya na naglagay pala siya ng 1,000 pesos doon sa vault. Kaya 11,000 yung laman ng vault natin. So, kailangan mong ibalik kay custodian yun. Meron ka nga yung payable to custodian. Paano pag wala naman, sir? Wala namang naibigay si custodian na 1,000. For example, talagang sumobra, hindi namin alam kung saan. Credit ka na lang daw ng gain. Okay? Debit, cash, shortage, or overage kasi i-close mo lang ulit yung credit mo dito. Anong credit natin? It's either payable to or it's either gain. So that's everything that you must know with regards to cash and cash equivalents. So, i-apply natin. I-apply natin lahat ng concepts sa pagsasagot ng mga problems. So, I've prepared 3 problems for you to apply all the concepts. Okay, illustration number 1, sabi, the auditor for Samantha Incorporated examined the petty cash fund immediately after the close of the business. July 31, 2018. At the end of the company's natural business year, the petty cash custodian presented the following during the count. So, ito daw yung count. Meron daw currency. Ano yung currency natin? Yan yung coins. So, for example, merong vault dito. Yung vault na yan, ang laman daw niyan, 1,650 pesos of coins. Yan daw yung nabilang. Tapos daw, meron daw nabilang ng mga voucher. Anong voucher yan? Yan yung mga expenses natin. Ang expense mo daw dyan is nasa, magkano yung total ng expenses natin dito? Nasa 420, 900, 340, 800, and 1,500. This is equal to 3,960 of expense na ang nakita mo lang ulit, voucher. Ano ba yung voucher na yan? Resibo. Okay, that's the resibo. Okay, resibo po yan. Next, nakita mo din daw doon, meron daw cheque. Meron daw cheque na ang nag-withdraw daw si Samantha Incorporated na babayaran daw niya kay petty cash custodian. Anong tawag doon? Yung 7,200 na yan, ang tawag po dyan is replenishment. Yan yung tinatawag natin na replenishment. Binalik sa dati. Kaya nagbabayad si Samantha ng 7,200 kay petty cash custodian na ibibigay lang niya ulit doon sa vault natin dito. Okay? So, meron na receive na cheque. Cheque natin, 7,200 of check. Tapos daw, meron din daw na-receive na 300. O tandaan mo, yung 300 saan ang galing? Postage stamp. Alam mo yung postage stamp natin, supplies. So, hindi yan dapat part ng cash. Okay? It is not part of cash. So, bakit yung postage? Sinama natin. Yung postage na sinasabi dyan, yan yung expense. Ibig sabihin nito, nagbumili ka ng postage, kaya yung 420 pesos ng petty cash po napunta sa expense natin sa postage. Pero yung postage natin na 300 pesos daw ang amount, hindi yan part ng cash. Okay, kasi nga ang nangyari dyan, supplies natin yan. Next, an employee check returned by bank marked NSF. Ibig sabihin, meron lang daw ulit na na-receive na cheque dito na 1,000 pesos. Cheque lang ulit yun. Sir, non-sufficient fund. Alam ko yung non-sufficient fund, ibig sabihin hindi enough yung cash. Wala mo na tayong pakialam doon. Ang ibig sabihin na natin dito, ibig sabihin, nagbayad ka kay employee. Nagbayad ka kay employee ng 1,000 pesos o nagbigay ka kay employee ng 1,000 pesos na ang nangyari, binayaran sa'yo ni employee. Na binayaran ka ng employee through check. So, meron cheque doon na 1,000. So, ibig sabihin, alam mo na meron kang 1,000 na dinisburse. Okay, next, 1,890. Ano yung 1,890? It is an envelope containing currency for 1,890. Pero yung envelope daw na yan, gift daw yun for retiring employee. So, ano nangyari dyan? Ibig sabihin daw sa vault daw, meron daw na-receive na envelope. Meron daw na-receive na envelope na ang laman daw is nasa 1,890. Dapat, hindi yan part ng cash natin. Bakit hindi part ng cash, sir? Parang ang naging kwento kasi dyan, nagbigay ka lang doon ng envelope natin na 1,890 na ireregalo mo kay employee. Na hindi naman yun part ng expense natin and hindi siya part ng petty cash fund mo. Okay, and sinabi, the general ledger shows an impress system cash fund balance of 16,000 pesos. So, yan daw yung in-establish niya. So, entry natin, i-apply natin yung entry na sinasabi ko kanina dito. 4 yung entry mo, tama? 4 yung transaction mo. Date of establishment. Date of disbursement. Tapos, petty cash fund replenishment. Yung adjustment, it's either of the two lang. Okay, adjustment for unreplenished, it's either of the two muna. Okay, replenishment. So, at the date of establishment, anong entry mo dyan? Debit ka ng petty cash fund, credit ka ng cash in bank. Magkano ba in-establish mo? 16,000 pesos. Date of disbursement. Ano nga gagawin mo sa date of disbursement? No entry tayo dyan. Kahit na meron kang expenses, hindi mo pa i-entryhan yan. Petty cash fund replenishment. Magkano ba ni-replenish natin? 7,200. So, debit tayo ng various expense. Kung ano mang expense yung dinisburse niya dyan or ano mang expense yung pinalitan niya dyan, credit tayo ng cash in bank of 7,200. So, ganyan yung entry natin. Pero hindi yan yung tinatanong. Ang tinatanong, magkano daw ba petty cash, shortage, or overage? O ano nangyari dyan? Magbilang tayo ngayon. Doon sa vault natin, magkano lahat yung nabilang mo? Sa vault mo, meron kang 1,000 na check, 1,650 na bills, 3,960 na expenses, tapos 7,200 na bumalik sa'yo. So, ang nangyari daw, upon counting daw, ang nabilang mo daw lahat is nasa 13,810 daw yung petty cash natin kasama lahat ng expenses. Sir, ibig sabihin ng count, ibig sabihin may cash na 13,810. No. Ibig sabihin ko dyan sa count na yan yung natitirang cash plus yung mga resibo na napunta sa vault. Okay? 13,810 lang daw lahat yung petty cash natin. Kasama yung nabilang natitirang pera plus yung mga binayad mo na pera. Eh magkano ba dapat ang laman ng petty cash natin? 16,000 pesos. So, meron ngayong kulang. 16,000 less 13,810, meron ngayong 2,190 na difference. Anong tawag dito? Shortage. Kasi ito yung nabilang mo, ito dapat kulang ka ngayon ng 2,190. So, magkano shortage or overage? Letter B, 2,190 of shortage. Anong entry mo sa shortage natin na yan? Debit ka lang ng cash, shortage, or overage. Credit tayo ng petty cash fund of 2,190 upon investigation. Tapos mag-i-entry ka na lang ulit ng debit receivable, credit loss, depende sa magiging result. Credit ng cash, shortage, or overage kapag nahanap na natin yung result para lang mag-close yung dinebit mo dito na 2,190. Ganyan yung entry mo sa cash shortage or overage. Okay tayo. O, number 2, tinatanong, magkano daw adjusted balance ng petty cash fund natin? O, magkano nga ba ang adjusted balance ng petty cash fund mo? Magkano ba yung balance mo talaga? 16,000 yung in-establish ko, sir. O, magkano yung mga expenses natin? Alam mo, nag-expense ka ng 3,960. Bawas mo yan. Alisin mo yan. Tapos, meron kang 1,000 or meron ka dyang 2,190 na shortage. Yan, no? Credit ka ng petty cash fund dyan. Alisin mo yan. 2,190. Tapos, meron kang 1,000 pesos na disbursement dito doon sa employee's check na hindi pa bumabalik sa iyo yung cash kasi nga non-sufficient. O, alisin mo yan. O, yung total ng adjusted petty cash fund natin, 16,000 less 3,960 less 2,190 less 1,000. This is equal to 8,850. Yung sagot natin for number 2 is letter D. Sir, bakit ganun? Medyo narito ako. Nag-replenish ako Nag-replenish ako ng 7,200. Dapat meron akong plus 7,200 dyan. No. Tandaan mo na lang. Ano ulit entry natin sa replenishment? Debit various expense, credit cash in bank. Hindi ka dyan nag-debit ng petty cash fund. So, wala ka dapat dyang i-add na petty cash fund. Nakuha mo yon? Very good. So, that is for the illustration number 1. And yan yung petty cash fund na illustration natin. Okay, yan yung application ng petty cash fund. Sana malinaw na ang petty cash fund sa'yo. Next illustration natin. Okay, last 2 illustration. Illustration number 2. Sabi, your audit of the December 31, 2018 financial statement of Dionisio Corporation reveals the following. What amount would be reported as cash and cash equivalent in the statement of financial position on December 31, 2018? So, classification lang po ito. Tandaan mo na lang ulit ano yung kasama sa cash and cash equivalents natin. O, di meron dito, current account. Uy, current account, bank deposit yun kasama dapat. Kaso negative balance, anong ibig sabihin yan? Bank overdraft. So, anong gagawin natin ulit pag bank overdraft? Ignore natin yan. Oh. Number 2, current account, prudent bank. Uy, positive. Anong gagawin natin dyan? Part yan ng cash natin. Specifically, it is considered as cash in bank. Sir, hindi ko ba i-offset yung 30,000? Hindi. Saan bang bangko to? Prudent. Saan bangko to? Prime. Hindi pwedeng i-offset. Kapag parehas yan na nasa prime, then go, i-offset mo. Pero since prudent and prime magkaiba, wag mong i-offset. Okay. O treasury bill. Uy, treasury bill parang kasama ng cash equivalent. O tingnan mo nga, kailan mo binili? 3 months before maturity. Ay, pasok nga. Part ng cash equivalents. Treasury bill. Treasury bill daw, maturity date ko daw is December 31, 2019. Ano mangyayari dyan sa treasury bill natin? Part ba ng cash equivalent? We must never assume na part yan ng cash equivalent kasi as a rule, dapat binili mo siya 3 months before maturity. Ang sinabi lang dyan na maturity date is December 31, hindi tinanong kung kailan mo siya binili, so hindi yan part ng cash equivalent. Investment yan. Payroll account. Part yun ng cash fund ko. Nakasama sa cash natin, so kasama tayo dito. This is part of cash fund. Foreign bank account. Uy, bank account, deposit dapat kasama. Kasi sinabi restricted, ay guy, hindi yan kasama sa cash natin. Postage stamp, nako, alam ko na yan. Supply yan. Ignore natin yan. Employees post-dated check. Ang nangyari dyan, si employee daw, nagbigay daw sa'yo ng post-dated check. Naka-receive ka ngayon ng post-dated check. Uy, naka-receive ako ng post-dated check. Check na hindi ko pa pwedeng i-encash. Ignore ko na ngayon ito. IOU, ano ba si IOU? Yan yung utang daw. So, liability yan. Ignore lang natin yan. Credit memo from supplier for a purchase return. Purchase return daw. Credit memo, wala namang sinabing cash dyan. Nagbalik lang daw ng inventory sa'yo. Or nagbalik ka lang ng inventory sa kanya, then ignore natin yan. Hindi yan part ng cash natin. Traveler's check, ay ako alam ko yung check na yan, included yan. Money order, familiar rin sa akin. Kasama yan sa na-discuss natin kanina. Yes, kasama yan. Petty cash fund, kasama dapat ang petty cash fund. Ang sinabi, 3,000 lang daw yung currency. 3,000 na lang daw yung cash. Lahat daw ng expenses natin, or lahat daw yung 12,000 pesos daw, expense na raw. So yes, kasama ito, pero yung kasama lang is 3,000 pesos. Kasi yun lang yung cash mo. Expense na yung iba. Hindi pa naman sinabing na-reimburse. Hindi pa naman sinabing nag-replenish. So, we must never assume of that. So, magkano ngayon yan? O magkano yung cash in bank mo? Meron dyan, 135,000. Cash equivalent ko, 300,000. 390,000 kasama. Ano pa? Kasama ko ang 21,000, kasama ang 12,900, kasama ang 15,000, or kasama ang 3,000. This is equal to 3 or 861,900, letter D for illustration number 2. Bandali. Andali. Madali talaga to. Illustration number 3. What amount should be reported as cash? Ingat ka po. Sa illustration to ang tinatanong cash equivalents, cash and cash equivalents. Dito ang tinatanong na lang cash sa atin. So, yung cash equivalents natin, hindi po siya part ng cash mo. Okay? O, sinabi. Cash on hand. Ay, cash on hand, alam ko kasama yan, 500,000. Kaya kaso ang sinabi, including a customer check of 100,000. Na ang date ng customer check, January 31, 2024, next year, ay, dapat hindi ngayon kasama yung 100,000. Naka-receive ka daw ng 100,000 na check na i-withdraw mo pa next year, hindi dapat part ng cash natin yan. So, aalisin mo yung 100,000 dito. So, yung kasama lang na cash natin is nasa 400,000. Cash in bank current account, ay alam ko kasama yan, 4 million. Cash in bank payroll account, restricted pero current operation, kasama yan. Cash in bank value added tax account, ako alam ko din kasama yan, di mo ako malilin lang dyan. Foreign bank account, unrestricted, ay alam ko kasama yan. Cash in bank restricted, tapos plant expansion pa or plant addition pa, hindi yun kasama, ignore natin yan. Kahit na i-disburse ko yan ng 2024 next year, hindi din yan kasama. O next, cash in sinking fund long term, set aside for bonds payable. Kailan mo daw babayaran yung bonds payable? December 31, 2024. Ano ngayon? 2023. Babayaran mo siya within 1 year. So, ang classification, current liability. So, yung 1.5, kasama ngayon yan. So, kung kukupitin natin yan, 400,000 plus 4 million plus 1 million pesos plus 600,000 plus 1.4 plus 1.5, this is equal to 8,900,000. Sagot natin for illustration number 3 is letter A, 8,900,000. Okay, so that's our discussion for cash and cash equivalent. Sana natuto ka. Sana may natutunan ka. Okay? So, dito sa pagsagot natin ng illustration, kung medyo nalilito ka, try mo lang. Okay? I-try mo lang i-pause yung video discussion natin nang wala pang sagot. Tapos, i-try mo siyang sagutan on your own without my solutions. Tapos, kapag nakuha mo yung sagot, goods na intindihan mo na. Pag hindi mo na nakuha yung sagot, huwag kang maiinis. Huwag mong titigilan si accounting. Huwag mong sasabihin, mag-shift na ako, titigil na ako, hindi ito yung para sa akin. Don't be like that. Igawin mo lang, try mo lang i-solve, i-play mo yung video pag hindi mo makuha. Tapos i-check mo, okay, ganun pala yung solution. Intindihin mo yung concept behind it, wag yung solution. Tapos kapag na-gets mo na yung solution, i-pause mo, backward mo ulit. Try mo ulit sagutan try mo ulit sagutan yung problem on your own without the solution. Okay? Ulit-ulitin mo lang hanggang magets mo siya lahat. So yun lang muna. God bless, good luck, and ciao!